be an American idiot. Boomer, good morning, sir. How are you? Do you want to give us a little bit of a rundown about who you are and what LifeForce Games is?
Yeah, so Boomer, my partner Satsuma and I started Landvault, which you're probably most familiar with. We did that back last May. We grew that to over 120 developers, building in Sandbox, Decentraland, CryptoVoxels, NFT Worlds. We actually exited that in June of this year, so about a year. We raised $5 million for LFG last November, and LifeForce Games is going to be a suite of games that are going to be free to play, and really excited to, I think, progress the Web3 space forward with what we're building. Yeah, I mean, we can go further in detail there, but it's going to be a vast open world, a universe, so to speak, and a suite of games that people are going to be able to play, but also create their own games.
I think that it's kind of exciting that you guys went from being able to be one of the largest metaverse land holders to then kind of making this pivot. And I'm curious, I suppose, about the motivation or the pivot change. Do you see that a lot of the metaverse lands and stuff that have been being developed on not succeeding in your kind of eyes, and you thought, hey, I could do it better? Is it something where you just kind of got bored of doing what you were doing before? What was the rationale behind you guys kind of making this pivot together?
Yeah, we got to see behind the scenes, like under the hood, so to speak, on every metaverse that's currently being developed. And just fundamentally, I don't agree with you having to pay thousands or tens of thousands of dollars for land or avatars or wearables, or having to set up MetaMask and then buying a token in order to interact with a game. Anything that's part of the core game loop that is purchasable is going to, I think, fail to reach mass adoption. So, the webcam is not on.
Oh, no, you got to turn it on. Yo, listen, Taco Bird, you are going to get your wish apparently here. Yeah, you just have to click like the turn on camera on Discord, and then you should be good on that front, I believe.
Did that work?
Hold on, I got a black screen for you, sir.
I know what it is. There.
Yeah, there we go. Yo, listen, this guy's got his ape in the background too. This is top notch. Holy sheesh.
Yeah, there was a really cool guy that an ape holder that built it, and it's actually made out of wood.
Yeah, bang.
So it's hanging up on the wall.
I love it. Yeah. So I posted down the link here, guys, if you're wanting to reserve your game tag for the platform that they're building. But like Boomer, for LifeForce Games, when people are thinking about it, do you think that it's like a platform that's going to have like a plethora of games similar to like the Epic Game Store? Is it going to be something that's more similar to the other side where it's this open world, and if you go into certain locations, it will open up these other games and communities? What's the kind of thought that we should be looking at when we're seeing these different images and the name LifeForce Games?
Yeah, we'll have our own kind of open world. It won't be a vast open world like Decentraland and nothing there. We're going to start smaller and grow and build out. So there's always something to do and always part of games to play. There will be some portaling systems into games that we've developed, but also, spoiler, into games that others have developed. So we've got some cool tooling coming that will allow people to play those games and to create those games and to be their own level designer, no code, drag and drop type solution. So it'll be kind of a combo of both of those. It'll feel really unique and hopefully really engaging for everyone to play in.
Now, one sense asking, how would he compare it to Other Side?
So Other Side, we don't know a ton about Other Side and their SDKs, their tooling. We can kind of pull from Worlds Adrift. I think that's probably the closest game that Improbable has had built on their system and is using. And with them, they've got some sort of tooling system that was in Worlds Adrift. Our tooling system will be much more complex, but just as easy to use because it'll allow you to build team deathmatch, battle royales, survivor games, overtime platformer games, maybe even MMOs as we continue to add more functionality. But the core game loops of developing games will be done by us, and then editable by players, and then they're going to essentially turn into their own level designers using our assets, our 3D assets, as well as assets of our partners, and you'll be able to create cool experiences that you're running down, shooting Schiller in the back as he's running away screaming. It'll be super fun.
So you guys are talking a little bit about how you're kind of like partnering with different projects, and for the game itself, you've highlighted that you are able to take your NFTs into every single game mode within what you guys are building. And I guess my mind goes to, okay, so is that purely cosmetic? Is there going to be kind of a cool way that these are going to be able to integrate in certain ways, or can you break that down a little bit further?
Yeah, I'm super anti pay to win. So what we're designing is it doesn't matter what you own, it won't give you an unfair advantage over another. Again, I'll pick on you as much as I want to go in and stomp you in every single game, and I'm about to go buy a ton of Gods Unchained so I can stomp you in that. It won't give you an unfair advantage in playing the games. But imagine playing an LFG game and then playing a game that, let's say, Schillers created, and then a game that the Goats have created or the Alien Boys have created. You'll be able to take things with you throughout those games. And that's, I think, the coolest part is being able to integrate within the platform and take things that you've created, you've leveled, you've designed throughout. But it shouldn't give you an advantage over someone who hasn't paid anything or who hasn't created something or who hasn't leveled up in one game to another.
So regarding the reservation aspect of things, it is highlighted in here that there is FOMO, sus, and resist, and you're kind of choosing your allegiance, if you will. So how big of a role, how important is it for this initial stage, or is this kind of just like a fun thing to make people think of, oh, which one do I want to join?
So hopefully it's fun to make it where you want to join something and that you are going to engage in, and there's different teams. It tells a lot about you if you choose sus. But we're going to have some fun Discord things coming up. Even though I hate Discord, we're going to use it temporarily until we build our own forum up on our site. It's more secure that way. But it will lead into voting and some other things. So I don't want to say too much because the team's kind of planning quite a bit around voting and contributing to the system. Again, you don't have to pay anything, in order to participate and vote and have a piece and say what we're building, which is exciting.
So you've talked a little bit about the desire for keeping it kind of like free to play or at least not pay to win, but I'm assuming that there's got to be some kind of revenue model or option that's in there, whether it be, cosmetics or whatever that people can buy. So what's your thoughts on it? Is it literally going to be, here's the game, the NFTs are only be able to be acquired through the game and that's it? Or is there going to be options for purchasing with ETH, fiat, whatever, skins and other kind of components of the game? Or have you gotten that far along?
Oh yeah, we've definitely gotten that far along. So some of this will actually be voted upon by players. Some of this we've already instituted. We will have supporter packs coming in the next few months that will contain some cosmetics, some titles, some other fun things. You don't have to spend an absolute a ton of money in order to participate. We're still making it so if it's you don't want to pay anything and it's free, you can still participate in what we're building and doing. But if you want some other cool perks and some ways to flex that you were early and that you generally just want to help support LFG and what we're building and what we're creating, we will have options. We will have a few more expensive options, but those will come with things like, hey, I want to build my own custom pet in the game, or hey, I want to maybe create my own NPC that lives within the hub of that. Those will be more limited in nature and scope. They will cost a bit more money, but we want to have supporter packs like as cheap as like $40 or $50. So anyone can really kind of get in and support, be early, and have access to some really cool things that we're building.
So I think that one of the takeaways that I have when like looking into LifeForce Games is that it's an option for project creators and people that just want to have something cool within a game to be able to do that. And I'm thinking to one of the interviews that we had earlier today with Webverse, where they're kind of like, yeah, you can take like almost any NFT and be able to like populate it within our metaverse. And the word metaverse has really thrown out a lot here. What would you say is kind of in your mind, the biggest difference of why LFG is something that people should be paying attention to, or that you're going to have kind of your own category of being able to stand out amongst all these, metaverses?
Yeah, so most of the metaverse, and I'd say that loosely, that are currently in existence are just platforms that are empty and barren, hoping that players will come and create on those, right? Decentraland's been around the longest. It has like 1,000 players, and most of those are going to Decentral Games. If Decentral Games wasn't on there, it'd probably have 100 or less players a day kind of running around and playing. Where most of these platforms are going was this land model and selling scarcity of land, which I think was kind of foolish. And I know a lot of people have kind of voiced their opinions around that. We're now seeing kind of like the second iteration of the metaverse coming. Like we kind of look at it as like we're a Gen 2 metaverse, where we're actually gaming centric and allowing users to build games and to participate in games, where it's not just social and hope people come and hope people build. We want to give, and we have the experience from Landvault knowing what projects and everyone wanting to build. I mean, we built hundreds of pieces of land and developed for, I think it was like 22 of the 40 largest communities in Sandbox. We did work for them. We know what people are wanting to create, but the tools were lacking. So we're really focusing on the tools and the tooling around being able to create games and being able to create. If I create a team deathmatch game or a battle royale last man standing game, it's probably going to look very different than what you might create, because maybe you're into space and you want more of a space theme to fit, your project and what you're creating. Whereas I don't necessarily want to play in space. I want to play in the swamp, right? And I want to create something really unique and different there, or it could be in a robotic world or whatever it is. So allowing users to be able to dictate and create with a simple drag and drop, like not having to know code whatsoever, like my 7-year-old could do it, I think is what's going to set us apart from everyone else in what they're creating. And we're doing it because we have a gaming background. Like we're looking at this purely as a gaming studio. Everyone on our team has been in the space 15 to 25 years, building fun games their whole career. They didn't start in Web3. Like we're bringing them into Web3. So I think that's partly our competitive advantage in what we're looking at. It's not so much that NFTs are here that you can own that asset. I also look at it as like having a voice in what's being created and being able to kind of vote on the things that are being done or the patches that are being upgraded or the new pieces that are getting added to the game. How many times have you said, like, why the hell are the devs updating this little stupid obscure thing when like 40 other things are wrong with this game? Why aren't they listening? We want to be the ones listening and instituting what the players want.
So it sounds like you guys have obviously a ton of experience, and I'm always curious about how communications and then like timelines are kind of thrown out to people. And you've stated in the website, at least, that the alpha is going to be coming around wintertime for this. So how far along are you guys? Do you think that that's kind of like a bold timeline, or do you think that you guys are going to be able to nail that on the head?
So we started in January. We scaled up the team. In 110 days, we had our first demo done that we were showing our current investors. In that, it wasn't playable for anyone to play. It was just showing like, hey, look, like the world's being built, the AI is getting done, these things are happening, we've got assets. So it was exciting, and I think that was really, really quick. The team was able to crank that out. We are looking at a Q4 release of the alpha. Of the tower defense game. And with that, I think that we should be able to hit that. But one of the things that, again, we are going to be priding ourselves on, we're like super anti-FOMO. We've built in stealth for a while. We want to make sure the foundation was here before we released any info. I don't want to be one of those projects that's like all FOMO, have hundreds of thousands of NFTs, and isn't actually building or isn't showcasing or everything's hidden. Like it just frustrates, it tires the holders out. We both have been there. We don't like being treated that way. So I wanted to make sure that we had a really good foundation of what we're doing. If we're not going to hit that, every person that follows our project that's in our Discord that's talking to us will know that, and they'll know it ahead of time. It's not like, oh, by the way, we missed our deadline today. We're going to be very, very vocal. We're going to do AMAs Every week, we're going to have our own podcast spinning up with video interviews of people on our team and what we're creating, potential partners that are going to be, connecting with us and being able to be on and showcase what we're building for them. Like we're flipping the game studio, mantra of being very secretive, only showcasing a trailer that's highly polished, and then you don't see anything until the game is done. Like we're flipping that upside down. Everything we're going to show is unpolished. Everything we're going to show is in progress because we want people's feedback. We want them to have a say in what we're creating. We want them to feel like they're right there along building with us. They're getting to learn what it's like to build a game, to be part of a game studio. Like it's just a very different experience.
Well, you mentioned kind of the investors that you have right now, and I know that you guys raised $5 million from that, and I'm curious, did you pick those investors? And again, I'm not really familiar with kind of the behind the scenes of how that works, but I know Pixel Vault, G-Funk came out and said, we specifically went with these investors because they met certain criteria that they could help further to that. Were you guys just kind of looking for funds at that time, or was there any kind of like strategicness with who you allowed to invest in you?
Yeah, so we're going to have a whole show on this with Satsuma and I talking about this, but to give a quick synopsis, like in November when we raised, the market was so frothy and crazy. Like if you had a pulse, you could get money. We were originally looking for 4 million. We ended up with 5 million because we ended up having a ton of people interested. We actually had over almost 9 million, kind of pledged to us that said, hey, look, we're interested if you want to raise this. We didn't want to sell that much of the entity. We also didn't want to raise that much money. It was our first time raising from a studio's perspective. We'd raised money in traditional investments like real estate quite easily, but this is very different. So we were actually afforded and very honored to have the ability to pick and choose who was going to be investing with us. And so Lemniscap was our lead. ST and Roderick are fantastic humans. We know them from Ready Player DAO that we're founding members in. So really, really excited to work with them. We worked with CMT Digital. We're really good friends with Charlie over there. He's also in Ready Player DAO with us. And then Svermion with Dan, they're also in Ready Player DAO with us. So we've gotten to know our basically our three biggest investors really, really well because we've also invested with them in RPD. So when money kind of came to us, we picked the people that we knew could provide a lot of value, that we already know them, and that we know that they're going to have our backs when we need them, right? When we have questions, when we want to walk through things, and they have. And then we have a bunch of angel investors that all have kind of key roles in what we're doing and being able to pick and choose, and we were fortunate in that as well.
So, just scrolling through the website here, trying to look at all the graphics and everything, and you guys got a careers point down here. So are you guys hiring? What's the details around that?
Yeah, it's an actual real game studio. Imagine that, with benefits and everything. Look, we're targeting people that are not in Web3, that are in Web2, that have built games their whole careers. And with that, you have to act like a real studio and have these different perks and benefits and things. So yeah, we've been hiring and trying to find the right people. We're going to be doing an episode around our culture and who we're trying to hire, who we're trying to find, and why we're not just taking anyone and everyone kind of that can do the job, but really to make sure that they match the culture, what we have internally, because that will come and show through our product externally to everyone. Like if it's a really toxic traditional game studio with that toxic culture, like it will probably show in our marketing, it'll probably show in our messaging, it'll show in actual product. Whereas we're going a bit different, and we're trying to not only put the player first, but make sure that the employees all gel, they all work together, and that it's a really good working environment for everyone. We're all remote, even though a lot of the company is in San Diego, coming from Amazon Games and Sony Online, Sony PlayStation, and but it is remote work for everyone. We have people in Canada, so like our CTO.
Listen, we gotta apparently go find them and take them out for coffee or whatever. But anyway, the Sidra, the world that you guys are building. Give us a little bit of a breakdown about what we kind of should expect when you guys first launch. Is it something that we get a walk into? Is it going to be kind of like one game? What's kind of the, once the NFT sale happens, what's next?
Yeah, think of it like a hub and spoke model. So Sidra is going to be the hub. That's going to be where everyone loads in the game. That'll be where some businesses that are going to be joining us on the partnership side will have some stuff kind of presented there that you'll be able to engage with. That's where some of our biggest partners that are doing custom assets and building their own custom games within the platform, that you'll be able to jump in and play their games right from there and portal around. Sidra is not going to be very big to start. We're not going to blow this out and make it feel like, oh my gosh, this is so vast, so crazy, and look how big this is, but there's nothing happening. We want it to feel like Times Square, like, holy crap, you're looking around going, this is nuts. There's a lot of stuff here. We want hundreds of players to be able to interact together, right? Essentially right now is about 100 players per server. Sandbox is looking at the 40 to 50 player per server. We're looking at the 300 plus player per server. We're not improbable. I don't have other sides budget to put thousands of people into one space, but we will plan to be bigger and better than anything that's currently out there in terms of player count, player total within the space.
Details regarding the NFT sales and the opportunity to create, you mentioned the pets and some of that other stuff. What's the details of what we need to know? Is that anytime soon that sale is going to happen, or something we just got to be following the LifeForce Games Twitter?
Probably follow the Twitter, but join in the Discord. That'll be opening likely early to mid next week. We're going to be coming out with a little more details around it. I can tell you a little bit about it. Essentially, the supporter packs, there'll be multiple levels. We want anyone to be able to participate, and the higher the participation or the more money, so to speak, the cooler stuff that we'll be able to do and build from a cosmetic standpoint, whether it's pets or mounts, titles, different gun outlays, and different mining rigs for our tower defense or third-person shooter that are coming. The more expensive packs that will have you create something, those we have to be very careful with, because those we're going to take a lot of studio time, because you'll be meeting with art, you'll be meeting with devs, you'll be meeting with narrative, like making sure that we're building stuff that kind of fits within the world and the gaming system. So like from the player standpoint, there'll be several ways to interact, that when that goes live, that will also kick in our avatar maker. And we've got some really cool things coming with that, where you'll be able to, it's not a 10K mint where you hopefully get something rare and try to flip it. Like, that's not what we're about. We're looking at it as being able to create something that you feel is unique to you, that you want to run in our games and play as. And so you'll have a 2D version that you'll be able to build. Picking traits, some traits are free. You'll be able to actually build a whole character completely for free and save that if you want. But there'll be a lot of premium traits that are range in cost. You'll be able to pick and choose what those are, and those will end up having a 3D version that you'll be running around and playing our game in. But that will launch at the same time as the supporter packs, and that is what we're building now, and why we don't have a firm date on the supporter packs.
I'm excited for everything that's coming around with it. And I mean, like, I know that you've seen you're wanting to compete with a lot of these like bigger dogs, but you're also kind of aware that, money is kind of a big issue. So where do you see the future of LifeForce Games, where you're like, okay, I'm happy? Like, is there a certain player number? Is it kind of like a scale? It's, I mean, rudimentary, like Twitter followers. What do you kind of envision as like a personal like goal of wanting to achieve with LifeForce Games?
Yeah, I don't care about Twitter followers or my followers or anything like that. Like, to be honest, I just don't. I'm really big into the 1,000 true fans. So if you have 1,000 people who love what you do, who will buy what you do, who will support what you do, who are going to play those games, like, obviously games need more than 1,000 people. But if you have 1,000 raving fans, like, the game will be successful, because they'll go and create content and podcasts and videos and showcase new builds, and they'll be the ones building levels and monetizing their levels. And you'll be able to build, I mean, all sorts of cool stuff within our system. You have your own in-game currency, not a crypto, but an in-game like gold equivalent that you'll be able to name, and it could be the Schiller coin or something, right? You'll have your own leveling systems, your own quest systems. Like, we want to build this vast system from a user-generated content standpoint to continue to build on our world. A world without games is a very boring world. We've seen what that looks like in some of the current stuff out there. That is not what we want to build. So I don't care necessarily about follower count or anything like that. I want people to come in and enjoy playing our games and to also have the ability to create their own. Like tooling is a really big deal for us because when you look at it, like there are some incredibly talented people out there that don't know how to code or they don't know how to use Maya and Blender, but they're really good level designers and they have really good ideas for different games. And they're going, gosh, if only there was a way to work in video games and tell the developers and showcase like what I have in my head. Like I could build something super cool, but I lack all the talent of a studio. Or there's projects that are like, you know, we want to bring value to our players or to our community, but we don't have $1.5 million or $2 million to go build a real legit video game. Gosh, it'd be nice to be able to jump in here and to build something and to get some custom assets done and have some of the more custom perks that we will have for the business on the business side, the commercial side. They're able to do that at a fraction of the cost. You know, it could be 90+% cheaper to use and build custom assets and to build on with us than it would be to go build out on your own. And so we know what people want to build because of Landvault and the experience that we've had there. So we're really excited to be digging into not only building our own world and our own games, but also giving everyone the ability to build their own.
Well, you are excited. I am excited, and I can't wait to see what the hub looks like. I think that's going to be one of the cool things is when we do have these different metaverses that create these things. What is it going to be like when you're in the LifeForce Games hub of the metaverse for the other side hub of the metaverse, and really being able to compare and contrast and just kind of enjoy the different experiences that are out there. But Boomer, listen, that's going to be it for right now. But I mean, I love chatting with you, and I imagine we're going to do it again here soon. When you guys do have sales, let me know because we got to get into it. But you're not thinking that it's going to be necessarily super soon for the sales, just to clarify on that?
I would say probably around 90 to 120 days. It'll be in Q4, but I don't have an exact date right now because we're still building out the actual avatar builder. So until that's built and until the traits and everything are loaded in, like we won't have an actual date. But follow along, join our Discord next week, follow along us on Twitter. You'll know. We'll start carrying out some information around that as we're getting closer. And people will be able to vote on what traits they like to see created and new additions. Like, again, just being super transparent in what we're building and what we're doing. Like, we want players to be heard.
Love it. Listen, Boomer, thanks so much for your time and best of luck with this, and we'll chat soon.